I'm going to be trading $25,000 into a million while documenting every single trade in this series for you guys to watch. Now that might sound a little bit crazy to you, but let me fill you in real quick. You see, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to be a millionaire. But there were a few problems. You see, I lived in a very small country town, both my parents were teachers, and I never even met someone who knew how to make $1 million. So I did what every other small town kid was told to do. I went to college. 4 years later, and I am not any closer to knowing how to make $1 million than when I went into college. So I turned to the only person I could trust, Google. You see, I learned about this incredible video game called the stock market. So I devised an incredibly complex two-phase master plan. Phase 1, learn to trade. Phase 2, make millions. Yep, that's really it, seriously. So I devoted the entire year of 2022 to phase 1, learning how to trade. And I documented everything that I was learning on this YouTube channel for you guys to learn as well. But now it is time for phase 2, make millions. I tried to scrape together every dollar I could find to make it to 25K to start this challenge, but I fell a little bit short. So we will begin our hopefully historic journey with $21,625 in our account. So we need to get 25K as quick as possible. But that's enough talking. Let's begin the journey. It's time to take the first trade, and the lucky stock we have chosen is BILI, kind of like the weird Chinese version of Netflix. But before I do that, I should probably explain to you the trading strategy that I will be using to get to $1 million so that you can start learning it too. Let's see if I can do it in 60 seconds or less. Stocks move three ways. They either go up, down, or sideways, but we want our accounts to only go up. That means that we need to buy stocks while they're going up and then sell them if they start going down or sideways. But how do we do that? After studying thousands of stocks, you'll learn that stocks move in a staircase pattern. So they go up, they pull back, then they go up again. So what I need to do is wait for a stock to move up, then wait for it to pull back and build a range, and then buy it if it starts moving out of the range. Then I can place a stop loss under the low of the breakout day in case the breakout fails. But if it doesn't fail, I will sell half my position after a few days to lock in profits, and then sell the rest when it closes below the 10-day simple moving average. But this is easier said than done. But now that you know the plan, let's get back to Billy. So Billy blasts off the bottom, making a 200% move up. It then pulls back to the 20-day simple moving average. It creates a range that gets tighter and tighter. So now we just need to wait and see if it can break out of that range, and then we buy it if it does. We're going to do a 5% position around $1,000. There's the alert. We will buy now. And here we go, our first position of the challenge, guys. We're going to set our stop loss at the low of the day, $24.99 for all of the shares, good until canceled, and there we go. The stop loss is in. So we have our first position in Billy, and it is $1,052, which is 5% of our account. Once we have some winning trades, we can start scaling up all the way into 25% positions, which would be over $4,000. But for now, let's just see what happens with Billy. He started moving in the right direction, but then ended up failing back and stopping us out at break even. And that probably happened because this strategy works the best when the overall market is in an uptrend. So let's wait around a bit for the market to improve. Alright, it is now January 10th. The market has had a few green days, so let's try a trade or two. So check out this stock. It makes a really nice move. Up about 300%, comes back to the 10. Look at the volume, completely dries up. If we take a look at the hourly, it looked even better, so I set my alert right here at around 241. So we check on the 5-minute, it broke through, and I got in as quick as I possibly could. So I'll put about a 5%, a little bit over 5% position, and boys, we are already up 11%. It's only been about 10 minutes. So we'll see how the day goes, but this is looking really good. APCX continued to run, and I ended up selling half of my position, up 25%, just to lock in some profits. And that ended up being the right call because she then started to fade, and we got stopped out of the rest of our position at break even. But that gave us our first winning trade of the challenge, a 13.2% gain on the whole position. Not bad. We also tried VVOS. This thing makes a huge 500% move on high volume, created a tight range, and then broke out. It looked great the first day, but then unfortunately faded and stopped us out for a 3% loss. I honestly think we just need to give the market some more time to start a solid uptrend. All right, the market is open. We're doing good, and take a look at what we bought today. Look at the daily. Just huge, move on volume, 150%. Slow decline, no volume, back to the 10, gaps up right there. Come on, guys, textbook. So I bought this at like 231, yeah. So as soon as I saw it going, I bought in, and this thing is already, so it's up 20%. And then SLNO was the one we were watching earlier. It had a beautiful breakout, and I bought it as soon as I possibly could, and it is doing wonderful. We're now up 8% on Megal and up 7.5% on SLNO. So with the market finally moving in our favor, let's see how these trades play out. SLNO wasted no time and did a complete 180, giving us a 9% loss on a 10% position. By far our biggest L yet. Now in hindsight, this wasn't a great looking setup, so I need to get much better about recognizing that going forward. But what about MEGL? Well, we ended up playing this one very well, giving us a 22.3% gain, our biggest winner so far. And now that we have some profits to play with, let's start taking some bigger positions, starting with BYSI. This one is pretty clean. I mean, this is what you can ask for in a thin stock. It's perfect. You have a big move from 50 cents up 400%. Look at the volume there, 26 million. Comes back to the moving averages, puts in a nice range here, kind of breaks out, consolidates again, giving an even better entry, which we got into today, which was here. The market is moving up and breakouts are starting to work again, so let's see how our trade on BYSI plays out. This thing just continued to grind upward for days and days, giving us a very solid 19% gain when it finally stopped us out. Very nice. And it was on a 10% position as well. But the day after we entered BYSI, I decided to get into two bios, which if you don't know what bios are, they're like the Wild West of the stock market. And this wasn't a great idea because we took a loss on both of them. And now that takes us to the end of January 20th. The NASDAQ is approaching a pretty key point here. It has been in this downtrend for over a year now. If it could move out of this, we could get some great breakouts, and I want to be prepared for that. Next, I took BBAI, which ended up being my biggest mistake of this episode, and not for the reason that you're probably thinking. This stock makes a huge, powerful move. It is in a very hot sector right now, in the AI sector. It comes back to the 10-day moving average, got very tight, and then broke out. But here is where I fricked up. You see, in all of these trades you've seen so far, I set my stop loss 1 penny below the lowest price of the breakout day. So if a stock opens at $1.50, it breaks out at $1.55, my stop will be placed at $1.49. But on BBAI, I made a costly mistake. I put the stop loss at the low of the day instead of below it. But KJ, it's just 1 penny. Why does it even matter? Because this stock came down to the exact penny my stop was on, stopped me out, and then went up over 200%. This could have been massive for our account. But do not worry, because we'll make up for it later in this video. So while we were crying about the BBAI trade, something magical happened. The NASDAQ started showing some really good strength, moving out of the downtrend, so let's get long on some stocks. I took a very thin stock called MMMB, ended up getting stopped out at break even. This one was just too choppy, but that brings us to another thin stock named Kern. We got into the stock here on this day when it broke out of its range, and then a couple days later, something nuts happened. Let me show you guys what just happened. This is absolutely nuts on the stock we bought the other day, Kern. So what happened here was nothing was going on. It was completely flat. It wasn't even showing a candle 5 minutes into the day, but there was huge volume. All of a sudden, we were up like 40% on our position, and it was on news of merging with some weird digital mining. But I kind of sniffed that was going to be kind of BS and maybe an opportunity for people to sell into. So I sold up here, sold here, only managed to sell about a third before moving my stop up and getting stopped out. I didn't get as much out of Kern as I would have liked, but we honestly can't complain with a decent win. And with the NASDAQ looking really strong, this is where things started to get fun. So now that we have some profits to play with, I think it's time to try a 20% position, over $4,000 into just one stock. And I have the lucky stock of choice, and that stock is EMC. It is a Chinese stock, and that sector has been very strong. It's made a huge 350% move up from the bottom. It came back to 20-day, got very tight, and then the most important of all, they sell freaking personal helicopter drones. I mean, come on. It does not get any cooler than that. So without further ado, let's give it a shot. So I was watching it this morning with Charlie. This thing breaks out. It gaps up here, breaks out. We took it with the biggest position I've taken yet, a 20% position. It was like 4.3 grand. It comes right back, stops us out. But we grabbed our balls and we bought it back just a second ago as it broke through up here. So I'll go ahead and move my entry there on the 5-minute. Taking a look at the hourly, it looks really, really good. Volume came in, just clean range break. 1 hour opening range high broke as well. We're feeling pretty good. So even though the 20% position stopped us out, we still made it back in with the 15%, which is a lot of money. So let's see what happens. This was a wild stock to hold on to, but we managed to ride the bull successfully, giving us a 15.7% gain on a 15% position, our biggest win yet in terms of total dollars made. And so far we've been taking small losses and some medium-sized wins, but I think it's time that I show you the real power of this strategy. This is ELYS. This is a kind of random gaming penny stock. This thing makes a juicy move on volume, up like 564%, claps to 200-day, comes back down, and then it takes some time to set back up. Look at this. We got in pretty good today with a nice entry around here. So we're already up on this position, looking really good. Okay, so I just got back from the gym and I had an urge to check the stock market pretty early pre-market today, which I usually don't do, but I am so glad I did. Look at this, out of nowhere, ELYS is up 50% pre-market. It went all the way up to 1.53. Of course, you know me, I tried to sell the top as usual and got very close, but taking a look at the Robinhood, we're almost up. We were up $1,500 pre-market. Our position in ELYS is up 115%. Yeah, this is crazy. We ended up selling out of ELYS on that day, giving us a 78% return on our position, totaling $1,844 in profit. Incredible. Sadly, that high did not last too long because setup started to fail and we got stopped out of some big positions, which led to giving up a good amount of gains. But honestly, that is just the price of doing business. That is part of the strategy. It is now February 10th and we are stopped out of all positions and our account is 100% cash. So let's see where we ended up during this rally. We managed to grow our account 8.31% during this uptrend, giving us a profit of $1,799. Not too bad. And here were our stats for this episode for all you stats nerds out there. And if you're wanting to learn this method for yourself, please check out the description below. We have a ton of free resources and then my story on how I learned this method. And I will see you guys in episode 2.